Crime Curious is a true crime podcast that takes an in-depth look into true crime cases through the lens of a trained investigator and former prosecutor turned judge.
If you are sensitive to expletives, anatomical descriptions, and accurate descriptions of true crime scenes, this podcast may not be suitable for you.
Welcome to Crime Curious. I'm Charnell.
And I'm Megan.
And we're continuing Shock-Tober here. I've got two extremely shocking cases for us this week.
All right. Thanks for bringing me on the shocker.
It's going to feel a lot like I imagine the shocker to feel like as we go through these cases.
One could only guess.
Just so you know. Yes. No personal experience with it, of course.
Me either.
But both of the cases I'm covering this week, Megan, were recommended by, or suggested, shall I say, by listeners. This one...
We refer to these as listener picks.
Yes.
Thanks, guys.
I've got a whole dang notebook full of them that I'm working my way through, but this was sent in by Michael, Michelle, and at least three others. Whose names I did not have permission to use, so I didn't include them.
So
but
multiples. This one's
listeners
coming in multiples.
Wanted to hear this horrific story.
We know who you are as people. It's okay. Yeah. And we don't judge you.
I think they more so were like, here, I just had to read this horrible story. Now I'm going to go ahead and let Charnell and Megan hear about it too and the rest of the world.
So it's therapeutic so someone else can be there with them.
Yep. Yeah.
It's one of those type of cases then. All right. I'm preparing myself mentally with a drink of whatever this lovely concoction is.
What do we got today?
What did you provide me with? I can't see. You hit it in this hard
here, look
koozie.
At mine. It's an absolute berry vodka Rita today.
Yeah. So you think that you're going to drink TV static, and you don't because it's got a little vodka-esque twist to it.
Yes, it's not a paid sponsor, but
could be. I say this all the time. Where are you guys?
Get out there and get yourself some of this stuff because it's actually quite delightful.
All right, we shall sip
Shameless
while
plug. This is our coping.
Immerse ourselves. Yeah.
So this is the Petit family murders. If you're not familiar with it, it actually didn't take place that long ago. It was in 2007. Oh, God, I say not that long ago.
Well,
but
it's not.
Sake.
It's really not.
Not in my brain. It's not anyway. I was giving birth to my second baby.
I say if it's that long ago for some of you, perhaps we need to see your IDs.
Yeah, no kidding.
Have we stated lately that this is kind of an adult-oriented podcast?
We haven't. But, well,
Here's a reminder.
I would say my beginning thing of Crime Curious is a true crime podcast.
Mature audiences. May
mature.
not be appropriate for some audiences.
Right.
And by some, we mean children. Those of weak sensibilities and sensitivities.
That's right.
And Karens.
Not suitable for Karens. Yeah, that's a good point. All right, now we have to jump into the horrificness. So strap in, sister. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the Petit family first. So Jennifer, born Jennifer Hawk, then she marries to become a Petit. She was a nurse and co-director of the health center at Cheshire Academy, which was a private boarding school in Cheshire. She met the man who would become her husband, William Petit, at Children's Hospital of Pittsburgh in 1985 when she was a new oncology nurse and he was a third-year medical student at the University of Pittsburgh.
That's sweet.
Isn't that adorable?
It is adorable.
They married in 1985 and ended up having two beautiful daughters together. Their oldest daughter's name was Hayley, and she had just graduated from Miss Porter's school. She was a cross-country runner. She played basketball and crew. I don't know what that is.
I do. Crew? Yeah, she's rowing, man. She's on the water.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
This girl's got some arm muscles showing on.
Oh, she does. She is extremely athletic, which is mentioned later. It comes up later. And she was a high school honor roll student. While she was at Miss Porter, she was elected the senior leadership position of the Athletic Association, where she also won a school award for exceptional community service. She was scheduled to attend Dartmouth College.
Oh, prestigious.
Yep, where she was also going to study medicine like her father.
This girl's got it all
Technically,
going
her
on.
Farmer.
Her father.
Her father and her mother. I mean, her mom was a nurse.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, she had been an active fundraiser for multiple
sclerosis. You know what happened?
700.
We didn't shake.
I know. I'm stumbling over my words because we forgot to shake the lucky sack of dicks.
That's right.
There we go. Shake it up.
I got it. We're good now.
I can't look at it and say the word, but MS, guys.
MS. Thank you. I was just going to say that.
Because her mom was diagnosed with MS.
Oh, God love her.
Yep, but she did not let it stop her from. Jennifer was still a working nurse, and but her daughter wanted to help raise funds for it. And so
I love that.
And she actually even captained a walk for MS called Hayley's Hope.
Super
Isn't
cute.
that adorable?
Started being charitable in high school. This is during her high school years.
This was her high school career. The Petit's younger daughter, Michaela, attended Chase Collegiate School before she was tragically a part of the murders in this case. Her plan was once her older sister left for college, she was going to take over Hayley's Hope for MS and renamed it Michaela's Miracle. That's what she was going to do.
That's super cute too. I like it. So keeping it going, but making it your own.
Kind of her own. She actually often cooked a lot for her family. She was an avid chef. She loved to cook.
You know, I like that.
And now let me tell you a little bit about William Petit. So he was an endocrinologist in Plainville. He was also the medical director at the Joslin Diabetes Center at Connecticut Central Hospital. He was like one of the leading diabetes doctors, as a matter of fact. So he was a devout dad, very active in his daughter's life. Him and Jennifer had a very wonderful marriage, this really was just the epitome of a very normal American family here. So now we're going to turn the page a little bit and take a drink.
Okay, I'm getting ready.
Because now we're going to talk about the asshats that ruin this family.
Oh, plural. There were multiple hats.
So the first asshat is Stephen Joseph Hayes. He was convicted as an adult for the first time in 1980 at age 16.
Oh, well, God. Good job, buddy.
Yep, he's starting off strong. He was violating as a juvenile as well, but this was the first time in 1980 that he was tried as an adult.
At 16.
At 16.
Which can be done and often is, but it's usually something really bad.
Yes.
For that to occur.
And he is just a whole bunch of badness. Just terrible, not good. We don't like him at all. And he smells. I'm sure he does.
I was just going to say some people smell of evil at the same time that you said he smells.
Oh, that's weird. Yeah, I think you're right.
It's a pheromonal thing. Have you ever walked by somebody? I don't know what happened there. Have you ever walked by somebody? I was possessed.
Was that the devil coming out in you? Speaking of evil.
Yeah, it was. It was the devil. I can leave now.
I can smell feces. You're right.
That's not me.
No. That's the smell of evil.
Yes.
A lot of people say when they're having demonic episodes that they smell feces.
Yeah, because they're going crazy and they've probably shit themselves, Charnell. But
fine, bring it down to a reality level.
I told you I'm always going to ruin the supernatural for you or attempt to find a way.
I like it.
So, all right. So he smells of evil.
He smells of evil feces.
We like it.
Yeah.
So he's an actual shitbag.
He is completely. And not as bad as his co-partner here that we're going to talk about in a minute.
Oh, it gets worse than being an actual shitbag.
It is.
Let's
it is.
think of a nickname for him too. So we have shitbag and...
Well, you think of it when I butcher his last name because I'm not even going to try to say it correctly.
I won't even correct you then.
No.
He can be remembered with his wrong last name as we pronounce it.
That's right. So that idiot's name is Joshua Andrew Komisarjavski. Komisarjavski.
Sounds good to me.
Koma Jerkovsky.
That's it. We have shitbag and jerk off.
That's
you
perfect.
Just named him. Good job.
Yeah. So back to shitbag though.
Okay. Shitbag first.
At age 16, when he was originally tried as an adult, he was sentenced to 2 years. Okay. He was paroled in 1982 and he violated his parole a mere 7 weeks later. And it's basically just been downhill since then. He was arrested 30 times. Okay. And spent most of his time incarcerated. His last arrest before he commits contributes to and commits these horrific murders was in 2004 after he smashed a car window with a rock and stole a woman's purse. He was paroled in 2006 and was sent to the Silliman halfway house, which we would call transitioning housing these days.
From corrections, from prison.
Yep. Where he met, jerk off.
So shitbag meets jerk off in
a halfway house.
In transitional housing.
Yep. So let's talk about jerk off for a little bit, shall we? So not let's jerk off for a little bit. Let's just talk about.
I mean, we all take breaks in our own way. Right. There's no judgment. We'll be back in 5 minutes.
I only need 3. So
sounds like my last date.
He was Hayes, shitbag's co-conspirator in the events that take place. He didn't have an easy life. We'll throw him this. His mother was young when she was impregnated by a mechanic who was barely out of his teens as well. Okay, I think his mom was like 16. That doesn't mean anything to me.
No,
I
was just going to say
16 when they had my sister. They're
I know
parents.
Plenty of teen parents who raise fantastic children.
There's a ton of them on Lifetime. Right. Isn't that the network that does the teen mom? Maybe it's MTV. It's MTV.
I don't watch Teen Mom.
Me neither.
I can't bring myself to do it, but I am a fan of Lifetime. Those feel good movies.
Me too. It's definitely not Lifetime. It is MTV.
Okay, thank you. Noted.
Don't go to Lifetime looking for shows about teen mothers.
I'm very careful about anything I put in my search engines.
They're an extremely religious network anyway. So, yeah. Which is ironic because they do true crime stuff. Well, I mean, I guess it is true.
Right, absolutely. They can't help it if people are perverse. They're just, and I bet they're not as graphic as we are.
Oh, definitely not.
No,
they don't say the things we say, Megs. Okay, so basically this guy, and we won't get into like a ton of his stuff, but in the early 1990s, his sister accused him of sexually assaulting her, which I firmly believe that he most certainly did, as we will see what transpires later.
Okay.
And
usually your sisters don't have reasons to just make this stuff up.
Right. And his father did admit during the trial that it was probably true, that his daughter was probably not lying. Okay. And he actually had committed his first burglary when he was 14. By 2002, he was arrested for 18 home invasions. That was both him and shitbag's kind of MO. It's interesting to see that they end up escalating to murder because most of their crimes were theft, home invasion.
Yeah, but I can see it because I think when you're dealing with home invasion as a crime, one of the natural consequences of that is that there could be a death that arises. Those are felony murders, right?
Yeah.
And so it does actually seem more of a natural progression than you might think. To me, it makes perfect sense and surprises me that it doesn't happen more often.
I would agree with that I'm surprised that it doesn't happen more often. Also, shitbag Stephen Hayes there, he really enjoyed just like the power that it gave him to walk around people's houses without them knowing that he was there. He would look in on them when they were sleeping and listen to them breathe, which is creepy as fuck when you think about it.
I have a goosebump. Yeah. I have some goosebumpies on the left side. That's what happens. Only the left side. And I mean the whole left side.
That's so weird.
Yeah, it's never,
If I ever goosebump all over your body, people, you'll know that that's a bad sentence right there. Yeah, it is creepy if you think about it. But that when I read that statement, that is at the point where I was like, yeah, he was always going to eventually end up murdering somebody. I think he really enjoyed the feeling that gave him. So they both kind of bonded over their liking to break into people's homes. Now, for Joshua, a jerk-offowski,
right?
He mostly did it to secure cash so that he could get his next fix.
Okay, so he has some addiction issues.
It had addiction issues. Yes. What's interesting is that so they met at this halfway house, but then they reconnected in the summer of 2000. Like they kind of went on, well, they were incarcerated and different, things. But then they re-met in 2006, like going to AA and Narcotics Anonymous meetings and things like that together. And at that time, they were also still living in transition housing, but they seemed to kind of want to have their sobriety in check. Like they weren't using anymore, but they were still home invading. just for money.
They're still committing home invasions, felony home invasions.
But going to their AA meetings, they're committed to their sobriety, just not being a criminal.
Yeah, because a drug addiction is a DSM-5 diagnosis, but being a fucking criminal is not.
Nope.
So that's where we are, guys.
Yep. So Jerkovsky was convicted on 12 counts of burglary in 2002, and he was sentenced to 9 years in prison with 6 years of special parole. So
special parole?
Mm-hmm. That's what it said.
I mean, do you get chocolate strawberries with that one?
I didn't know if that meant like he could work in certain, like out of certain. I don't know. I don't know what the fuck it meant.
Okay.
Because I was like,
it does sound like perhaps it's maybe another transitional type of thing that they have in Pennsylvania, maybe.
Possibly. Yeah.
I'm gonna find out.
But during that sentencing hearing, the judge described him as calculated, cold-blooded, and a predator. He
I like
was
that judge.
Yeah. Well, and he had on his record the sexual assault of his sister, his young sister. Okay, so he is a pedophile.
Young biological sister.
Yep. So, and there's every reason to believe that he continued to violate, the terms of that sentence as well. And as we will see, this all comes into play. So here we are, it's the summer of 2006, these two evil asshats get together and they're now friends, kind of deciding that they're going to hit the streets burglaring together. Burglaring. I want to say it how I want to say it.
I know. I like it. I like to hear you say burgle.
I have cottonmouth really bad today, and it's affecting me and my brain.
Did you drink last night, honey?
Plead the fifth, Judge Megan.
Just throwing. Oh, honey, I'm not judging you. Let's just refer to me as Meg today, because I had a couple drinks last night as well.
I had just a couple with some friends that came over, but
yeah, well, I helped a friend move, and I realized that those things in your arms, some people call them biceps, they fucking hurt today. They do. I use them in a way that I don't see. Doing this. Hurts. By the way, guys, I'm doing the beer bicep curl right now. Mm-hmm. That doesn't usually hurt me. Today it causes significant pain. But do you have a straw?
Do you know what that tells me about you? What? You're the type of friend that someone can call on when you're moving. There's not a lot of friends out there like that. So I appreciate that. Most friends are like, oh, you're moving on this weekend? Weird. I'll be in Jamaica.
Yes. I mean, that happens. So I did hear once, totally off topic, once you're over 40, which I am, I know you aren't, but once you're over 40, promising your friends pizza and beer if you help them move no longer has the appeal. And I can assure you that it does not. Mm-hmm. Because when I helped my friends move last night and he said, okay, are you ready to get pizza? I said, no, but I'm ready to order Mexican and to-go margaritas. So we did that instead.
Perfect.
Because that is when I will help you move. Right. From Mexican and to-go margaritas.
That's a good idea. Yeah. I like that. Can we normalize Mexican and to-go margaritas for moving friends?
We have now. It's normalized.
And you can tell everybody who you help move. They know him.
Oh, yeah. It's Jason.
Yeah, he moved a woman. There is a woman out there brave enough to live with him.
Oh, and she is a doll. And he is Jason.
I know. That's what miracles do happen, people.
I can't wait to get him back on here again miracles for the next brain bath only.
Oh, God. Okay. So now let's jump into a little bit about the family. So the Petits lived at 300 Sorghum Mill Drive in Cheshire, Connecticut.
What a great road name.
I agree. And it was a very beautiful house, they weren't filthy rich, but they definitely lived nicely. We've got a doctor, we've got a nurse. I'm sure that they looked like they would have a safe full of money for burglary.
Behind a picture.
Burglaring. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, behind the artwork.
So I'm going to take you to the day of July 22nd, 2007. And this one is horrible, guys. So just don't mind us when we veered off topic there and stuff, because we're totally avoiding the grossness that is about to ensue.
Apologize.
It's a regular summer. It's July. Oh my God, July 20th. That's my husband's birthday. I just realized that.
Happy birthday, Matt.
So it's this normal summer evening in Connecticut for this beautiful family. And as I had mentioned, Michaela, they called her KK.
I like
which is
that.
Adorable. She was 11. And I told you she really liked to cook, right? Mm-hmm. So she wanted to cook for her family that night on July 22nd. So her...
At 11?
Mm-hmm,
That's impressive.
She was cooking already by 11. And her mom took her to the local grocery store so that they could pick up the ingredients that she wanted to make dinner. And this is essentially where we think that they were targeted.
Ah, fuck. Somebody's watching for nice families, nice looking mom and her daughter.
It is speculated that what happened was Joshua Jerkovsky.
Thank you.
Spotted Michaela. And remember, he's a pedophile.
So he had an interest.
He did.
Specifically.
Yes. And so he decided that he was going to follow Jennifer and Michaela home, see what kind of living conditions they had. Of course, they pull into this beautiful, upper middle class type neighborhood, this beautiful house. And he's like, fuck yeah.
Yeah, you can picture the subdivision right now.
You can. You absolutely can. And so in his mind, it's a go. We're going to rob these people. But in hindsight, it is speculated that really he picked them both for the burglary and the opportunity to sexually assault Michaela.
Oh, I knew you were going to get there.
Yeah. So
just not this quick.
And this house is the biggest one on the street. So he contacts Shitbag and lets him know, okay, this is what we're doing. Now, Jerkovsky had a girlfriend. He somehow managed to have a girl who was interested in him.
Everyone has low self-esteem.
Mm-hmm. And her name was Carolyn. She was 18 at the time. Her father, rightfully so, did not approve of this relationship.
Good vibe, Dad.
Yep. He knew of his criminal history. He was certain that he was a sex offender. And he was certain that the only reason that Jerkovsky was interested in his daughter was because she was so young and beautiful.
Yeah, she's 18.
Mm-hmm.
How old is he, by the way, right now?
So
I get a 26 vibe.
That's a great question. I'm glad that you asked me that, Megan, because he was 31 at the time.
See, no. Just no.
Just absolutely no.
I don't have a problem with dating age differences for the most part, especially when people are over the legal age of consent. But the legal age of consent here is 16. And so you have an 18-year-old what does a 36-year-old man want with an 18-year-old girl?
31.
31.
But still.
You all know the answer to this question, okay? And what is usually somebody her age who's dating somebody that much older would like a daddy, but it seems like she has one.
She does, an appropriate one who knew right away that this guy was trouble and that he didn't want her to have anything to do with his daughter.
Yeah, I'm less judgy once you're in your 20s and you're dating people much older. I don't care at that point. You've had at least you're out of your teen years. You graduated from high school, maybe even college.
The word teen is not in your age.
The word teen is not in your
anymore.
Age. Exactly. Exactly.
I agree. And what his interest here was, you know what? I need money to get her, because the dad even moved away. They moved to, it's in my notes somewhere. Give me a second, everyone. From Connecticut to
Pennsylvania.
Arkansas.
I thought they were in Pennsylvania.
They met in Pennsylvania, Mr. and Mrs. Petit. Sorry, but the case is actually in Connecticut.
Oh, hell. Okay.
Sorry, my bad. I didn't make that clear. That's on me.
No, well, I just didn't know they've moved since. So this
live in
Sorghum Lane
is in Connecticut.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And so Carolyn's family moved to Arkansas.
That's a hell of a change.
Sure is.
So
yeah, Connecticut to Arkansas, I'd say.
I mean, I don't know if we have listeners from Arkansas, and if so, I love all of you. But the only thing that I know about Arkansas is that once I lost my luggage there in a transfer from my plane, and I never got it back. So somebody there is enjoying some really fantastic, really expensive tequila from Cozumel, and also my panties. So congratulations, guys.
Enjoy. Cheers.
Cheers.
That's funny.
No, it pisses me off. I really like those panties.
I'm so sorry.
And a pair of vintage Chucks, by the way.
Oh, that's sad. That's
my
the
vintage Chuck
part.
Taylors, black with the white. Like, I'm super pissed. More pissed than about the panties.
Yeah.
Even though I know what's happening to them. I'm more pissed about the shoes.
I agree. I'm so sorry for that for you.
It's okay. I've mourned the loss. We can move on now.
Arkansas, I'm sure you have more to offer than just lost luggage.
Oh, my God. Of course you do. This is why I'm going to have to make a trip to Arkansas now. Should we go to Arkansas and do a live there to apologize for all of this?
Yes.
I want
as long
my
as they're
fucking
okay
suitcase
with me.
back, Arkansas.
Give it to me, Arkansas. Anyway, we digress.
We do.
So he decided, like, his main motivation, supposedly, for this robbing.
It's not.
Is what he tells, how he gets shit-stained Hayes. Shitbag stain.
Shitbag. Yeah, shit stain's an earlier episode. That's the first episode.
See the first episode of Crime Curious? Yeah.
This is shitbag.
Shitbag Hayes. He is like telling him, I want to rob this place because I need money to get my 18-year-old girlfriend up here. So the dude's like, sure, let's go ahead and do this. Now, they were a little rusty. So on July 21st, they went ahead and did a test run at a different house.
I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. Did you just say they committed a felony home invasion someplace else as a test run?
As a test run for this one, because I really feel like, you know that house in Home Alone?
Yeah, it's a beautiful house.
And that's not what this house looks like, but it is the biggest house on the street. It is probably one of the bigger ones that they've ever attempted to invade. And so I feel like they literally are kind of like the wet bandits here.
This case needed a Kevin McAllister, though.
For sure. And it just was like, listen, let's test out, see, we're a little rusty, so let's test this out on a smaller house.
Okay.
And it went too well. It was very easy.
Were there people in it?
There were.
So that's what we call a home invasion first degree.
Yeah.
It doesn't get any worse for home invasions than that, by the way. It means there's people present therein with the intent to commit a crime.
And they were in harm. Yep, in harm's way.
Yep. Absolutely. But it went well, so they got what they wanted out of this place.
They did.
So stop there, guys.
That gives them the confidence of like, we can hit up the main house here, the big kahuna. This is our retirement.
Right? I made the mistake of thinking that narcissists stop once they've received what they might like.
Aren't you adorable?
Well, I am. Sometimes I'm a veritable gem of a human.
You are. Nope, not for them. They figure, okay, here we go. So July 22nd, 2007, around 7:45 p.m., we know that Shitbag sent Jerkovsky a text. So this is actually the guy that did not initiate the I want to hit this house, right? But he sent a text saying that he was, quote, chomping at the bit to get started and that he would need a margarita. Yep, don't we all, man? And an hour later, Jerkovsky texts Hayes that he was putting his 5-year-old daughter to bed and then he would be ready to get the show on the road.
Father of the Year award goes to...
That right there... Jerkovsky.
Let me get my baby in bed so I can ruin somebody's babies.
Yes, so I can murder
and potentially
daughters.
Sexually assault.
Mm-hmm. Oh, he does.
Yep. As you're tucking your 5-year-old daughter into bed. I have a feeling in my tummy.
Yeah, it's awful.
I don't like it. It's not even a goosebump.
I hated knowing that detail of just like you tucked your own fucking daughter into bed before you went and murdered another man's 2 beautiful daughters and sexually assaults one.
We know then that people's brains have this level of damage or disassociation here that can't be explained.
Right. Obviously, as you can see humans, in this situation.
We couldn't separate like that, by the way.
No.
None of our listeners could separate like that.
No. So by 11 p.m. that night, Jennifer, daughter Hayley, and daughter Michaela had drifted off to sleep watching TV, while Dr. Petit was actually asleep on the sofa on the back porch after a night of reading.
I've been there.
Yeah, I was just going to say, samesies, man. So on that night, Shitbag and Jerkovsky drove to a nearby Walmart where they purchased an air rifle and a rope. And they arrived at the Petit house around 3 a.m. on the 23rd of July. They entered an open window, and they were surprised to find Dr. Petit asleep on the couch because in the past, they would have just simply like snuck around as quietly as possible, or even moving on to like a safer home where there wasn't somebody downstairs.
Oh no, they wanted this home.
They did. As Jerkovsky actually really prided himself on being able to break into homes, remain there for hours undetected, and he decides in this moment he sees a baseball bat that is leaning up against the basement stairs.
Oh God.
So he takes that, and this is trigger alert now for horrific things. He takes that baseball bat and he hits Dr. Petit over the head with it several times.
Fuck.
Now, of course, this wakes him up.
He's, for a minute.
As it would. He was confused. He was in shock. And the two tie him up and take him down to the basement where they bind him to a pipe. It's described as a pipe, but it's actually one of the
Plumbing.
Chimney. It's securing it's a support beam.
Good job.
This is just Family Feud.
We just won Pictionary.
You don't have to say it faster. Yeah, a support beam. So they bind him around it. Weirdly enough, Jerkovsky comes back to prop his head on pillows to make him more comfortable.
Well, he just hit him in the head with a baseball bat.
And he's bleeding profusely.
He must have felt bad.
He's bleeding profusely, but he knows that he's going to go upstairs and do horrific things to his family.
Well, does he? Is this the first time technically that they've caused harm to somebody?
This is their first violent crime.
Let's just psychologically going through this. If they've broken into multiple places before, but this is their first assault, he just assaulted somebody, made him bleed, like with a baseball bat. And so I can see where perhaps at this point he's thinking, what's the word for it? Compassionately.
Oh,
is there
empathy?
Yeah.
He's feeling empathy?
Well, it's his version of empathy, as much as a jerk off can feel.
Mm-hmm. Possibly. The two make their way upstairs where they find Jennifer and Michaela are actually in Jennifer and Dr. Petit's bed together. And this little detail is going to break y'all's heart. It did mine. The reason that Michaela was in bed with her mom is because she fell asleep while reading a Harry Potter novel beside her mom.
And she's the 11-year-old?
She's the 11-year-old.
Yeah, like there's nothing. I mean, even if it was the 17 or 18-year-old, it wouldn't bother me. Like, that's just adorable.
Yep. They're just sleeping,
You're
sleeping
watching
together.
a movie, your daughter's reading, she falls asleep, dad's still downstairs, you don't move them. My heart is breaking.
Hayley, their 17-year-old daughter, was asleep in her bed. So they proceed to tie all three of the girls up. They put pillowcases over their head. And then they return Michaela to her room and bind her to her bed. They separate Jennifer, the mom, and Michaela from each other.
Yeah, see, I would already be dead, Charnell, because you take my daughter away and you might as well just fucking kill me.
You're gonna know that you might as well kill me because I'm gonna be a problem the whole time. Oh yep, exactly.
No judgment meant toward Jennifer, by the way, who also, by the way, has MS.
She does.
And again, let's just point this out that we don't know how we're gonna react.
Yep, and so all three of them are bound to their own beds. Now, the problem is that this does not turn out to be the bounty that they are expecting, Megan, because this family does not keep a safe full of cash and jewels. They keep their fucking possessions in the goddamn bank.
Weird how that happens. Yep. Samesies.
So, right, exactly. Me too. There's nothing for you here.
No.
Except for maybe some podcast equipment that's easily replaceable. So,
I mean, the potential for being shot, that exists.
Oh, yeah.
Both of our houses.
In both our houses.
Throwing that out there.
Yep.
And I'm a bad aim, so there's going to be pain involved.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to miss a lot first.
I'm going to miss the target a lot into some other weird shit like your dick.
Super sorry that's not on your body anymore.
Right.
Let me get that for you.
They did discover their checkbook. The checkbook, she kept a ledger, and it shows that they have $40,000 in their checking account. So they decide, okay, we're not going to walk away empty-handed. We want $15,000. So you know what we're going to do? We're going to hang out here. We're going to drink beer from the family's fridge while they're tied up and while Dr. Petit is downstairs going in and out of consciousness with his head wounds. And we're going to eat at the family's expense, and we're just going to hang out and wait until 9 a.m.
When the bank opens?
When the bank opens, and they're going to take Jennifer Petit to the bank and make her withdraw $15,000 for them.
Why not all of it, guys?
Well, I think they were afraid that would raise suspicion with the bank. They also, in the night, go to a nearby gas station and fill up 2-gallon jugs of gasoline. Why the fuck do you need gasoline to rob somebody's bank account?
I don't like where you're going with this.
At 9 a.m., they took Jennifer Hawk Petit, and she was trembling as she looked out the window of her car. Hayes, who is shitbag,
yeah.
He's at the wheel. He pulls into the bank parking lot, and they tell her, if you do not return with $15,000, we're going to kill your daughters. If you tell anyone or if they call the police, we're going to kill your daughters. But this whole thing does get really, really fucked up. So not only is it a trigger alert for murder, but you're going to be triggered by some of the events that go down.
Okay.
Too. So
I'm taking another drink.
Good idea. Jennifer could not hide her horror as she's in the bank. And I will post the pictures, you guys. There is photos of her standing. She's been up all fucking night. She's trembling. Her voice is shaking. She is at this bank teller, bank teller. Okay. With her tired eyes, her dark circles, but she was trying to remain calm.
Oh, she's trying to do like she's been directed.
Yes. And I want y'all to remember that she is a nurse, and nurses do have an innate amount of training to remain calm in very stressful situations. And so the teller did know that something was wrong. Okay. She couldn't hide it that well. So she did know something is wrong. Jennifer was able to tell the bank teller what was going on, and the teller alerts the bank manager. They could kind of see that she is looking petrified, but at the same time, she is appearing very normal. And what is triggering them is they're like, this is kind of an exorbitant amount of money, okay? But they tell her, you know what? In order to do this, we need such a large amount of money. We also need Dr. Petit present because his name is also on the account.
Oh, fuck.
That's when Jennifer's like, this is what is happening. Okay. I need
give me the fucking money so I can go
walk out
of
here
girls.
with $15,000. Okay. So what the bank manager does is arrange for Jennifer to take out a line of credit that would allow her to get $15,000 instead of taking it from the bank account because Dr. Petit's not present.
That's so weird. Okay.
So she fills out this application. Like, what the fuck are we doing here, people? That you're giving this woman who is telling you what's happening.
How come no one's called the cops yet?
Fucking thank you.
Charnell, some police could have been there and surrounded the car already. Both of the goddamn murderers were waiting in the parking lot for her.
Oh, and this is the community's uproar.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I'm sick.
Yep.
I'm sick.
Yep. The teller explained to the manager what had transpired. Okay. That Mrs. Petit said that shitbag would kill her family if the police were notified, but the manager snuck into her office. She turned off the lights and she dials 911 anyway.
Good.
Okay. But this is after they gave her the line of credit. Okay. And now the bank manager's name is Mary Lyons. And what she said during the investigation is, quote, she explained to me that her family was being held, and as long as she got the money and got back to the house, everybody would be okay. I just knew from the look on her face and the look in her eyes that she was telling the truth. Her eyes told me a look from one mom to another mom. End quote. Okay, great. This is absolutely where the story should fucking end, as you indicated.
It is.
The police could have gotten to that fucking bank, right?
Yeah, lights and sirens, baby.
Yep. But when she goes back to the car, they're not there, so they return back to the home.
No,
the
they
police
left her.
are not. No.
Oh, no, she got in the car?
She got in the car because she got her money.
Me. Gotcha.
Like, how are we not stalling giving her the fucking money for the police to arrive?
And they know the address, too. They know where she lives. They know her home address.
They sure do. They've got it on file, right?
Yeah.
The problem is that the police interpret this call from the bank teller as if Jennifer herself is a possible suspect involved.
What?
Yeah.
I don't get that. How?
We don't know, Megan.
Oh, to have the 911 call.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what it said, but I don't blame Mary Lyons, the bank manager. She had the information that she had, and it was interpreted later. I'll just tell you right now, the Connecticut police do not ever apologize. They do not ever give explanation. There was, some things said that kind of indicated the lack of training in responding to these sorts of circumstances.
Seems legit.
I'll piss you off right now and let you know that the tragic events that happen, you just got to know the house is already surrounded by police, but they were acting on an order to not enter because they thought that Jennifer was a perpetrator.
I don't even have words. So I'm not, and I don't like to be judgmental, especially when it comes to law enforcement, because I'm a proponent.
Neither one of us do. Right.
But I also, on a regular basis, have to find potentially wrongdoing, things that aren't followed correctly as they should be. And this is a huge error tactically that started to begin with.
Yes.
An
error tactically. I love how you put that, because that is exactly what happens here.
I don't know what their protocol was for a hostage situation, but there are protocols for those that might make regular people be like, what? I think they assume people just come in guns a-blazing, and that doesn't always happen.
No. First of all, that is dangerous for the police officers as well.
It is. Mm-hmm. What bothers me about what you've indicated so far, though, is the part where Jennifer is a suspect, period, anywhere, anyhow.
Yes.
I just don't see where there's been any probable cause. I'll use that legal terminology because it's the lowest standard of proof.
Right.
How?
Because she was the one there without her husband trying to take the money.
Terrified, trying to get money out?
Uh-huh. Oh, yeah, that's the thing. And what they keep saying, 2007. The problem is what they kept going back to was that although she appeared to be terrified, she was extremely calm. And they interpreted that not as someone, which pisses me off. You can't really interpret people's reactions like that. She was staying calm because her children's life were on the fucking line.
She's also a trained trauma nurse, right?
Yes.
Or oncology nurse. She's used to seeing terrible things and remaining calm.
Yep.
Like that's
always. Yeah. Okay. So they had they took issue with the fact that she did present terrified. She was shaking, but she was extremely calm in her demeanor. And extremely straightforward in her demeanor. Apparently, they expect someone to be erratic. I'm sorry, but...
Or hysterical?
Yeah.
I wouldn't
The thing is, she knows she's being watched by these people, and they have her daughter's life in their hands. So, yeah, she's going to do everything she can to shit herself on the inside, but remain calm on the outside.
Yeah, that's logical. 100% agree with everything you just said.
So what happens when they return home, trigger freaking alert, just basically for the rest of the podcast. Jerkovsky informs Hayes, and I misspoke. I think that I must have thought that they both went to the bank. Jerkovsky stayed.
Oh,
and shitbag.
So Jerkovsky is there the whole time.
He is. And the police are surrounding the place while Jerkovsky's inside.
Is Hayes there yet?
Hayes and Jennifer return. And when they return, Jerkovsky informs Hayes that he sexually assaulted Michaela. And then
the youngest one.
The youngest, the 11-year-old. Not the 17-year-old, the 11-year-old. He, trigger alert, said that he performed oral sex on her and recorded the act on his phone. He also positioned her in various sexual positions while he pleasured himself, snapping photos and videos the entire time.
I hate him.
During questioning later, because they do get caught, just so you know, there is resolution here. Jerkovsky claimed that there was only contact, no rape. However,
sexual contact is sexual assault, dickhead.
It doesn't matter. There was DNA in her body. He absolutely raped her.
Of course he did.
So then he tells, Jerkovsky tells Shitbag that it's time for him to square things up and that he needed to rape Jennifer.
Oh.
Which he decided to go ahead and do on the living room floor. They left Hayley alone, the 17-year-old.
Really?
They did. So at 9:51 a.m., Dr. Petit emerged from the basement. He got loose. But what woke him, now remember, this man has significant head trauma, and I actually did stumble across the pictures of it. It was amazing to me that he didn't suffer brain damage.
Oh, he should have bled out.
He should have. But he was in and out of consciousness, and this is just a gross detail that I'm sorry to even know, but what roused him was a rhythmic thumping from upstairs, and he had no idea that that was his wife being
sexually assaulted.
And then for whatever reason, so he gets loose. Jerkovsky sees that he had got loose and was going to the neighbors, tells Hayes, Shitbag, who is raping Jennifer, that Dr. Petit had gotten loose, and it pisses him off so much that he strangles Jennifer right there on the living room floor.
During the sexual assault.
Yes.
He strangles her.
Yep. So the neighbor, I told you he ran, Dr. Petit went to the neighbors. This neighbor's name was David Simshik?
Yeah.
Probably Simshik, actually. But
yeah, that sounds right.
So good old
David. Go with it.
Good old David. He had just unleashed his dog after a long walk when he heard what he thought was someone calling his name. So he's been the neighbor of the Petits for 18 years now, and he's kind of looking around, and then in his mudroom window, he looks through his garage and sees just a bloodied Dr. Petit. He actually did not even recognize him at first. His arms and legs are still bound. Okay?
Oh, shit.
And he's just making his way as fast as he can over to this neighborhood. And when you see pictures of the neighborhood, the houses are pretty close together.
Okay.
Of course, his head is split open on the top and in the front of his face. This is a quote that he told the court. He actually testified in court. And he said, quote, "I did not recognize him at first. His face was banged up. It just didn't look like Dr. Petit." And Dr. Petit's next words were, Dave, call 911. So he did. He calls 911, but he looks up and sees a police officer walking up his driveway with his rifle drawn.
The neighbor's driveway?
The neighbor's driveway. Dave's driveway. The police instructed Dave to get inside immediately and asked Dr. Petit if anyone was inside the house. He chokes out, "My girls." And just that fast, all of a sudden, his home erupts in flames and smoke. So to this day, both men blame the other for being the ones to pour gasoline around the house, including a trigger alert directly on the girls and lighting a match. Now, these girls are still alive. Jennifer is not alive anymore.
Yeah, she was strangled.
At this point in time, she was strangled when they discovered Dr. Petit had escaped.
Do you think that he had killed Michaela prior to
after
burning?
Sexually assaulting her?
Yeah.
No, because the autopsy report shows that she died from smoke inhalation. So she was breathing.
Jerkoff is the one that had the time to get the gasoline around the outside of the house while Shitbag was at the bank.
It was only inside.
It wasn't
was not
outside.
on the outside. It was just the inside.
Okay, well,
and they blame each other.
Fingers.
Neither one of them will take accountability.
They don't need to.
There were 2 fucking gas cans. It was fucking both of them.
Well, they're equally accountable anyway.
We know that night, during the night,
yeah,
they went and got Jerkovsky, I believe it was, went and got gas, 2 gallons of gas.
You had knowledge of it. You're guilty of the actual crime. It's called conspiracy, people.
Yeah.
Be careful who you hang out with.
Problem is, though, during the interviews with them, they both smelled of gasoline, and there was gasoline found on both their fucking clothing.
Sure.
So yeah, you both did it. Like I said, there were 2 gas cans. They both
lit the house on fire while they were inside it. Okay.
Mm-hmm. When the smoke and when the house like kind of exploded, okay, and that police officer was telling Dave to get back inside and all of this stuff, it took them a couple of minutes to come out of the house, to come running out of the house. But they did. The police are already there. They were surrounded. The police had surrounded this place 30 minutes prior.
Did they know?
They saw, we'll get to it.
Okay.
But what infuriates everybody who hears this case is that while Jennifer was being murdered, the police were right outside.
So the whole time she's being raped and strangled.
Yes. They were outside because they were told not to enter because she was a possible suspect. And there was a negotiator ready to negotiate with them if this was a hostage situation, and he was told to stand off. They were captured very quickly. Obviously, they tried.
Well, they had to run out of a firehouse.
They did, and they stole their family SUV and crashed it. They went driving through the front yard, crashed into a police cruiser, got nowhere, and they fucking got them and apprehended them, right? I mean, it's like
unfortunately, they've taken out 3 beautiful, lovely girls,
lives.
Women in the meantime.
Yep, exactly. All for absolutely fucking nothing at all. And not that any murder they're all senseless, but the fact of the matter is they didn't even get out of the fucking yard before they run into a police cruiser, you dumb fucks.
Jerkovsky didn't give a fuck about the money to begin with. He was there for what he wanted.
He was there for KK, absolutely.
He was there for what he wanted.
Mm-hmm. Shitbag gave police a fake name. It probably was Shitbag too. It's probably like, my name is Shitbag.
Yeah, well, I think that's good. We'll make him a name tag.
And said he didn't know if anyone else was in the house because at this point in time, the house is aflame.
Well, yeah.
Right. But however, Jerkovsky was forthcoming, told the police that there were 3 people inside and that they needed to hurry if they were going to save them. But he already knew Jennifer was dead, right? But he was not sure about the girls because they actually weren't dead at the time that they left the house, but their intent was to kill them when they put gasoline on their body and set the house on fire.
Couldn't agree more.
It was, though, however, already too late. I'll tell you what the crime scene, trigger alert to it, but what the crime scene found. Okay?
Trigger alert number 4.
I know, there's so many. Michaela was still tied. The 11-year-old was still tied to her bed. She did die of smoke inhalation. Hayley, being a strong athlete, managed to free herself from her ties, but they found her at the top of the stairs. She had succumbed to the smoke inhalation. Mm-hmm. There were significant burns on their body. The fact of the matter is that they do know that these girls' bodies were definitely on fire before they died. So it was horrific and not a quick death for them. You know, the first question that people ask, and I know you've already asked it, of why the fuck didn't the police intervene? And the media, neighbors, friends, family, everybody wants to know the same thing. According to the testimony at the trial, I'll just tell you they both wanted separate trials because, of course, they were both like turning on each other and not willing to admit
I think that's better.
Certain things. Yeah, all that stuff.
Do the separate trials.
However, when it comes down to is they were both offered a plea of life in prison without the possibility of parole, which would spare William Petit, who did survive everyone. He survived the massacre of his wife and 2 daughters. It would spare him from having to go through 2 trials. But he wanted the death penalty.
Which one did? Shitbag or jerk off?
Dr. Petit.
Oh, Dr. Petit wanted the death penalty for both of them.
Sure did.
Amen, Dr. Petit.
So he was willing to put himself through those 2 trials.
Yeah, you know, I'm not a big, I don't cast judgment.
It's a gray area for me.
I think when the victims want it, go for it. When they don't, but there's just this part of me that all of a sudden, like, I have a whole bunch of adrenaline and something right in my core is like, absolutely, Dr. Petit. I'll hold your hand the whole time, man.
17-year-old and 11-year-old beautiful girl and his wife, the love of his life. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I get it.
Good for you, man.
So this is what the Cheshire Police Officer Thomas Wright testified to at the trial. He said that he received a call over his police radio around 9:30 a.m. about a home invasion on Sorghum Mill Drive. This would have been like in response to the bank call. Before heading to the scene, he went back to the police station to grab a special vest and a rifle for another officer, and then headed to the scene, which, okay, yep, it's a home invasion. We know they're very dangerous, right? He should have his vest on.
For sure.
Then police announced over the radio that they didn't want more police cruisers going by the Petit's home because they knew an active invasion was happening.
All right. So they're trying to be discreet, right?
Yep. So Wright parked his vehicle at the nearby intersection, and then he went through the backyard to give the rifle to his fellow officer who had arrived on scene before him. And he saw a man in a driveway between a vehicle and a garage door bleeding profusely. He sees Dr. Petit. So Officer Wright, as it turned out, was the officer who had yelled at David to go back inside before the house explodes. And so the thing that also upset people was, and this does not upset me, but the officers pointed their guns at Dr. Petit because they weren't sure who the fuck he was and if he was one of the perpetrators. Okay.
Yeah, that doesn't upset me.
No,
I mean, I can understand why you would be upset because what has the poor man been through, but that's just standard right there. That's protocol.
It is. And as someone
that was protocol that I know about. That's general knowledge protocol.
As someone who works in the field and has been on dangerous situations, yeah, I'm going to make sure that I know what's going on and of who is in front of me. Not that I was ever allowed a gun because CPS workers are not, but you want, I think it's absolutely fair that he did that until he got the whole story of like, who are you? Is there, what's going on? The media kind of had a heyday with this. They didn't like that. But I mean, guys, that was to use your words, that is like tactical protocol. Okay.
It is.
Like you should be doing that. So then Officer Wright grabbed David's phone and told the 911 operator, because remember, David was in the process of calling 911, to send an ambulance for Dr. Petit. So then he looked over and saw a tan vehicle careen over the lawn and head straight for one of the Cheshire officers on the road, like towards the officer in his police cruiser on the road. At this point in time, the flames were too high for the officers to enter the home. Now, the department claims that they tried to get into the front of the home, and then in the back, they searched for a ladder to try to break in an upstairs window, but to no avail. At that point, the fire department arrived, and their only job was to put out the fire, not rescue survivors.
Right.
So,
well, they know whether it's enterable or not.
They do. Yeah, exactly. The decision to burn the house down with the family inside was made after Jerkovsky informed Shitbag that Dr. Petit had escaped. That's when they went to that plan, because now we can't leave any witnesses and evidence is their whole plan. However, Shitbag says, no, that really wasn't a part of the plan until we saw the police officer outside talking to Dr. Petit. No, guys, they bought these gas tanks in the middle of the night while they were waiting for the bank to open. Yeah. This was always their plan.
Good job pointing that out. You don't need them to point fingers and turn on each other for that. You just need the gas station attendant. Mm-hmm. Yeah, somebody came in. They bought two cans of gasoline.
Gallons of gas.
Two cans of gasoline. 2 cans.
Each pair of hands.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Each little pair of dick beaters.
That's right. So true. As I had said, neither one of them was really willing to take the rap for this. They blamed it on each other because not only had the youngest member of the family been sexually assaulted, but when they poured gasoline around the house and they went that extra step of pouring it on the girls, they were trying to burn away the DNA evidence on KK, right?
So, like they don't know how science works.
Well, they definitely don't. They obviously don't know how a lot works.
First of all, they've both spent so much time in prison. They should be fucking experts by now.
That's a good point.
Yeah, I'm actually.
They were this dumb.
Correct. They get a dumb criminal award just because they have more experience than most.
That's a good point. In police recordings played at the trials, both of their trials, Cheshire Sergeant Robert Vignola can be heard saying, quote, three suspects. One is a female, supposedly in the upstairs bedroom.
Ugh.
Possibly dead with the other two.
What?
These words were spoken 50 minutes after the initial 911 call. 50 minutes.
I don't have the words. You just saw me put my face on the microphone.
I did. One police officer, Lieutenant Joseph Manzini, actually got to the house before Shitbag and Jennifer even got back from the bank, but he was ordered not to approach anyone or to make contact with anyone inside the house.
This isn't a suspect,
watched them go into the house.
Yep. Nope.
That's bad news.
If anything, she's a complaining witness. She's a complainant. I mean, I guess she didn't make the 911 call. I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around all of this. Being in this line of work for 2 decades, how that could have been interpreted that way, and maybe it's a we'll never know thing. Because if it wasn't released, if it's not public to listen to, then I just don't see what possibly from the 911 call could have potentially indicated that she was a suspect, other than that she was withdrawing money and didn't have her husband with her. And God, everybody, it's not 1950. Get over yourself.
And I mean, what was initially reported to the police was that there was a home invasion in progress.
Yeah.
So they go to the home and not the bank where she's at. So that, to me, it was weird. But furthermore, Sergeant Viola told Lieutenant Joseph Manzini, and this is a quote from court records, "What I want to do is set up a better perimeter, as soon as everyone is geared up, and then what we are going to wind up doing is we're going to have to make contact," end quote.
Well, yeah.
Instead of letting Manzini, essentially, I think what was going on was Manzini was there at the home. He watched Jennifer and Shitbag go back into the house. And instead of intervening right there, it was, let's wait for the rest of the unit to arrive and gear up, and then we're going to take action. And by that time, it was far too late. They get back there. He rapes and murders her. They pour the gasoline everywhere and set it on fire. How long does all of that take?
A matter of minutes. I mean, and to be fair, maybe that is their protocol, and that they would wait. I mean, you have one person, right? He's waiting for the rest of his unit to get there. I'll give him a buy on that one, really, because knowing what I do about hostage situations, one person isn't going to be able to do much with that.
And he knows he's outnumbered.
It's just the sick feeling in the pit of your stomach, all of our stomachs, knowing that he watched the murderer walk her into the home and
she
knowing
was
what
still considered a suspect. Yeah.
Well, she isn't to me, and I haven't seen anything to indicate at all where she ever should have been, and that's my only commentary about how this case has been characterized so far.
So what we know from the court records, too, is that 30 minutes had elapsed from the time of the initial 911 call that was made by the bank manager and when police finally realized that at least one person inside the Petit home was in physical distress. You know, as it goes, at least 2 other members of the Petit family might be alive today had they entered the house, or at the bare minimum, maybe allowed a hostage negotiator to talk to the perpetrators, kind of stalling the whole situation. I don't know. Many have questioned why police didn't stop Shitbag and Jennifer at the bank to begin with.
Well, that's where it should. That's in my opinion where it should have happened.
Yep, I'm with you. The locals are with you on that as well. You know, this made big news. This has been a problem for this community, of course. They initially were going to do the plea bargain, but they went ahead with the trial. So Shitbag's trial started in October of 2010, and his lawyer argued that a life sentence would be a worse punishment for his client than death because he relived the event over and over in his mind every day, as if he's like remorseful about it. Okay. While waiting for his trial to start, he attempted suicide more than once, but the jury disagreed and they sentenced him to death by lethal injection. So bye-bye, Shitbag.
Sometimes things happen that restore my faith in humanity as it applies to jurors and how they make decisions.
Mm-hmm. And this is one of them.
It may be.
But hold on. There's more.
Great.
In December 2010, Shitbag did apologize to the Petit family saying, quote,
"How big of him?
I oftentimes looked at Dr. Petit and became sick to my stomach knowing what he has been through and what he continues to go through to this day. There's not a moment that goes by that this does not weigh on my mind, especially since he suffered due to my actions. My suffering is meaningless compared to that of Dr. Petit. Death for me will be a welcome relief, and I hope it will bring some peace and comfort to those I have hurt so much." He then added, "I am deeply sorry for what I have done and the pain that I have caused. My actions have hurt so many, affected so many lives, and caused so much pain. I am tormented and have nightmares about what happened in that house." End quote. So Jerkovsky, I'll spare you the details. He too went through trial and was sentenced to death. Okay. He tells the court, quote, "I will never find peace within. My life will be a continuation of the hurt I caused. The clock is now ticking, and I owe a debt I cannot repay. It's a surreal experience being condemned to die." End quote. However.
Nope. Stop before the however.
Jerkovsky kept jailhouse diaries that basically suggest that he was full of anger and he finally found people to fucking take it out on. He said in his diaries that the crime didn't haunt him at all. It was a relief for him because he's a deeply troubled man. He wrote, and just trigger alert to this because these are some passages that led people to understand more about how unremorseful he really was. He wrote, quote, "All were compliant. This time I took a risk, pulled the trigger, and the chamber was loaded. The Petit family passed through their fears and into terror. It was captivating, validating that the pain in me was real. I was looking right at my personal demon, reflected back in their eyes. Hayley is a fighter. She tried hard, time and time again, to free herself. Mr. Petit is a coward. He ran away when he thought his life was threatened and ran away to leave his wife and children to madmen. I was cheated of my retribution, and so was Steve. I am what I am. I make no excuses. I am a criminal with a criminal mind. Yeah, go ahead.
I goosebumped.
All over or just the one side?
Nope, just the one side.
Yeah, he's horrific. In another passage, he wrote, quote, "I was forced with the shocking realization that in some respects, I enjoy it. They were experiencing what I experience every day." End quote. And then he ended his 43-page diary with this phony, remorseful plea after saying all of that. Michaela, Hayley, Jennifer, which I hate that he even wrote out their fucking names. You have no right to write their names.
He loved every minute of it.
He said, "Michaela, Hayley, and Jennifer, please, forgive me, please. I am damned. Take my life." Fuck you, man. You write all that shit about Dr. Petit being a coward and how much you loved this, and now forgive me, please. No.
So this is one of the few times that you will hear me say that there is something satisfying about how things used to be handled in perhaps the Old Testament.
Yeah.
An eye for an eye. You know, I'm not going to get into the philosophy of the death penalty, and we don't have that here, so it's not something that I have to deal with on a regular basis. But doesn't some archaic part of you wish that they would put him in a house and cover him in gasoline and just light a match on your way out the door?
I've thought that about so many cases that we've covered. Like, do you think there would be less violent crime if that is how our justice system works?
Yeah, and I understand why it doesn't, and I'm, I'm an employee thereof and a scholar of our justice system and reforms that are made, and there's reasons for it. But you hear a story like
wrongful
this.
convictions, that would be horrific.
Absolutely. And throughout the late 1800s, early 1900s, all of the lynchings that happened, especially with our minority populations that were just should never, ever have happened because there weren't appropriate convictions. But this isn't the same.
But do you think we could have some sort of addendum to the law, Megan, that says, like, in a situation like this, they are obviously the perpetrators. There are no ifs, ands, or buts about it. They are the perpetrators. So why can it not be that way for situations where there are beyond a reasonable doubt?
You just blew my mind because so I've had this thought before. And again, these thoughts are not the opinion of any judges, lawyers, or any type of schooling I've ever received. So there's my
disclaimer.
Yeah. In a state where there's the death penalty and it's proven beyond a reasonable doubt, and then you have another jury, actually apply the death penalty, which we don't do here, but you apply the death penalty. Is there a beyond all reasonable doubt standard that would allow you to impose an increased penalty that was, for example, the same as the murder that they had committed? It's not going to happen.
No.
And nor necessarily should it, but it's the thought that goes through my head when I hear about this. This case was terrible, by the way.
I know.
I haven't, since I started here, had goosebumps in any case, and it happened twice in this case.
And I'm going to warn you, the next case that we do is going to do the same thing for you. It's just as horrific.
Fantastic.
I know. We had a fun, lighthearted episode last for our listeners.
I'm glad I wore a padded bra.
I know. And now the next few I have lined up actually are really, really bad. But that's why people come here, I guess. We all like the morbid shit.
This family deserved to have their story told. So to your listeners that called it in, good job. And the doc is still alive.
Yes, the doctor is still alive, and I'm going to get to that in a minute.
Oh, okay,
We
good.
have a follow-up with that.
Thank you. So you're going to make me a little happier.
Yes, we will end, as always, as we do, we will end on a happy note here on Crime Curious. But I did want to give you a little bit more information. So Jerkovsky's ex-girlfriend, Carolyn, I mean, you might be wondering, right? She actually said that in 2011, she spoke with a media outlet and said, listen, like during his trial and whatnot, he actually bragged to her about his role in the murders. He joked about how big Dr. Petit was and how difficult it was to knock him out, but he was able to do it. He also laughed several times while confessing to the police about his role in it. So he was definitely a madman. Now, both of them tried to claim, their childhoods had to do with, I try to answer that question of why, blah, 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 right? This is a classic case of, well, it was my childhood. And then you bring out the defense of, well, there's lots of people who have went through those sort of same childhoods and don't do horrific things like this, right? So this case is no different. They did that as well. They also, through their time in prison, of course, try to make the other one be like, oh, he just made me be the bad guy when I was really just going along with the ride or whatever. I'm going to tell you, in August of 2015, it seems as though the trials and the pain that Dr. Petit had to go through for both of those trials in 2010 was basically all for naught because the Connecticut Supreme Court ruled that the death penalty was unconstitutional and banned executions for inmates on death row.
Oh, I did not know. I did not see that coming.
Yeah. So they are no longer on death row. Both men could have taken plea deals at the beginning and spared him that, but, he wanted it. And honestly, I do think it still gives him some closure because he wanted that death penalty conviction and he got it for both of them. It's out of his hands that
it was overturned.
It was overturned, right? So they were resentenced to 6 life terms in prison. But then an attorney for Jurkowski told the Connecticut Supreme Court in October 2019 that his client is seeking a new trial for the home invasion murders and that the original should not have been held in New Haven because the jury selection was a circus that ruined his chances for a fair trial. And an appeal was filed on Jurkowski's behalf in 2017, partly blaming the police's slow response for the murders.
I'm sorry, the defendant blamed the police for not getting there quick enough to stop him from killing people?
Sure did, because, hold on, I have an explanation for that. Because he blames Shitbag for the murders. So he's like, had you got there sooner, he never would have murdered them. He doesn't take any accountability for murdering these people.
he just raped the 11-year-old.
Right. In his mind. Mm-hmm.
Did they both go get the gasoline? We know there were 2 cans. Who got the gasoline? Was it Shitbag?
It was Shitbag.
So
Shitbag went and got that gasoline.
Okay. I have so many things to say right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just trying to think of a good way to do this. Felony murder in any state, it does not matter whether you're the shitbag or not.
Right.
He may be the one who bought the 2 gallons, by the way, of gasoline.
Mm-hmm.
And he may be the one who ultimately, while he was raping the mom there, ended up strangling her. You are both culpable for the murders because you are committing a felony. This is basic common law in the United States. It's not state specific either. Like, this is everywhere.
Yeah.
If you kill someone in the commission of a felony, you can be the person who's committing the felony, i.e. the home invasion here, not even be the one to actually kill the person directly, and you are guilty culpable of the felony murder. Period. Yep. Point blank. I want to know, has the appeal been granted?
It was October, let's see.
Does he get a new trial?
2009. We don't know yet. This happened in 2019.
I will have
he was
faith.
Seeking a new trial.
Okay. I will have faith at this point in the judicial system.
Yeah.
And there would have to be some type of error that we are unaware of, I think, for that to happen. But we will pay close attention to this now.
Yep. To my knowledge, I do not believe that he has been.
My blood's boiling.
I have a lot of sources on this case,
yeah.
and no, I have not seen where he was given a new trial.
Yeah, we're gonna find
I'm
out.
sure it was probably denied, but being October of 2019, so then COVID would have hit. Right
things are behind.
It might have, been very backed up. So I'll give you an update on Shitbag as well. He has decided that he is transgender, and he's currently undergoing hormone therapy in prison.
I don't even have words right now.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about that. Oh, and this is not towards our transgender community.
No, not at all. This is more, he had been suicidal prior to his death sentence conviction.
He was.
So he does have something going on. And in all fairness, and God, Dr. Petit, I'm so sorry, but he did seem to show a little bit of remorse there in his letters. Certainly.
Yeah, he didn't write the diary that Jurkowski did.
Wanting to die, welcoming death.
Yep.
So I guess whatever happens after that is his thing, whether this is a natural thing for him or not. It really, in my opinion, has nothing to do or any bearing on the fact that he raped and murdered.
Yep. Raped and murdered.
So
exactly.
I just don't feel like him acting in this manner at this point in time should have any bearing on his character as a rapist and murderer.
No.
She is still the same person who did the bad things.
So
that's where I'm going to leave it with that.
And in 2018, he's upset because he was released into the general pop and he got bullied by the other inmates.
Right.
And he doesn't like that. And he complains that there's a lot of pettiness amongst prisoners and staff. Well, that's what happens when you land yourself in prison for life for murdering and raping a beautiful family, you fucking idiot.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything that happens, again, post this murder with them in prison, and this is a whole different podcast and a whole different topic that multiple essays and discussions can be had on. And this is how we deal with our LGBTQ plus community who are incarcerated. Dude, we could go on forever.
We could.
But it's a whole different podcast.
Yeah.
And I just don't want to take away at this point in time from what happened to the Petit family.
Yeah, exactly.
That's where the case ended for us in terms of what's happening with these people who have survived now, the defendants who have survived.
Yes.
Because they were
Did you
not
call
put
them
to
the
death.
defendants?
The defendants. The perpetrators.
They're just living the rest of their fucking days in prison.
Yeah.
But I do want to tell you about Dr. Petit. Okay. So
please tell me something good, Charnell.
Obviously, I am. I'm going to tell you a lot of good things here. Obviously, we know that he struggled in the beginning. Okay. He had PTSD. He really struggled to even come out of his bedroom. He had frequent flashbacks. I mean, it was very, very difficult for him. He said, I went to sleep one night in a nice home with a loving family and basically woke up in an emergency room, naked on a gurney with no family, no home. Everything was just gone. End quote. Oh, right. That I'm so sorry. That sends me shivers. He was not convinced that he would ever find happiness again. He actually told that to Oprah. She did an interview with him. But at the end of the dark tunnel, there was a light at the end. In 2002, he remarried a woman named Christine Plouffe, a freelance photographer and volunteer with the Petit Family Foundation that was founded by Dr. Petit in honor of all the Petit women, and in front of 300 guests with the blessing of his late wife's family.
That's teary-eyed over here.
So before the wedding meal, a blessing was written by Jennifer Petit's father, who happened to be a reverend, Richard Hawk, and was read. Reverend Hawk wanted to read it himself, but he and his wife could not attend the wedding because his wife had some health issues at the time. In November 2013, the couple welcomed a baby boy named William Arthur Petit III. And in a statement he said, quote, "Our son is a beautiful Thanksgiving and Christmas gift. He is very lovable and sweet. I will tell him of his two big sisters, Hayley and Michaela." Sorry, I'm getting emotional.
I am too, and I don't do this.
No, me neither. I will tell him of his two big sisters, Hayley and Michaela, and how they always helped others with smiles on their faces. I am sure they and their mother, Jennifer, are smiling down upon him, end quote. Whew. So, also...
Yeah, thanks, Charnell. Look at me. I look like Puss in Boots right now.
You do look like Puss in Boots.
I know. Do you want to take my picture? I'm not letting them leak out.
With the sad eyes. She's tipping her head back to get those tears in. Yeah. I know, that broke me. In 2016, Dr. Petit won a state legislative seat in Connecticut. He ran as a Republican and was nominated for the 22nd House District. The budding politician defeated Representative Elizabeth Bocas. Okay.
Wow.
So
he used his powers for good instead of evil.
He did.
Politicians.
And
good job.
And he could have turned, he could have taken his whole life away from, you know what I mean? He could have never been a doctor again. He could have never become a politician. I mean, just never done anything good with his life. Beyond
this man was violently assaulted about his head.
Exactly.
A man who used his brain for a living. Like, it's astounding. It's amazing. A miracle, really.
It really, really is. So that is the story of the Petit family murders, and may they rest in peace. And I'm so happy to hear that Dr. Petit is found some light at the end of the very, very dark tunnel he had to go through.
Yeah, God bless, Doc.
Yeah. So would you like me to bathe you?
Fuck, please do it. I'm like, again, it's the first time so far that you drew moisture from my eyeballs.
I know. It was terrible. I actually have a surprise for you, because the brain bath that I'm going to do today was actually written by you.
No. Oh my God, Charnell, are you looking back at my Facebook posts?
I am.
Fuck.
Because I was going to use this. Anyway when our darling Patreon Tasha posted on October 2nd in the Patreon only group. If you are a Patreon and not a part of our Patreon only group, join us. We have a hell of a time in there.
Is this my rewrite?
It is. I'm first going to read for everybody what she posted. Okay, this was right after Hurricane Ian. And we're going to post the picture of the man, right? He had put this out in what I believe was...
it doesn't list it.
It's a Men Seeking Women in the Florida Keys publication.
It's creepy.
There is his picture. I believe it was an online publication.
This is our Tasha from Grits with a Side of Murder, right?
Yep.
Love you, Tasha.
Yeah. So she posted this. And you guys, I will show you the photo.
Oh, yeah, you got to
see his selfie, because fuck, man. Gold chain and everything. Can we just say he's got himself like a Fu Manchu, slicked back hair, and a gold chain.
Not everybody can rock a mustache unless you're like Sam Elliott, Tom Selleck, or Ron Swanson.
Yeah, he's not doing well. He also has a crazed look in his eye. I mean,
oh, honey,
not
you
sane.
know I saw him. That's why you're giving this as a brain bath.
So here is what he originally said in his online, seeking women. The title he wrote was, "Do you need a place to ride out the storm in Jacksonville, Florida?" Okay, he's talking about the horrific Hurricane Ian. It says, "Hello, ladies. Single man here looking for any single woman needing a place to stay in Jacksonville to ride out the hurricane, spelled Hericane. I live alone, but hate to sleep alone. It's more fun to cuddle, hold someone. I'm sorry about the grammar. There are no periods, commas, anything.
Hard. Punctuation is hard,
but important. It's fun to cuddle, hold someone. I don't smoke, drink, or do drugs, but 420 friendly." Oh, he did use a period, but no capital on the I that comes next. Period. "I have a clean home with room to spare. I'm," no apostrophe between the I and the M. Yep. M white 5'8", all it says is 5'8", 160. So I'm assuming that means he's 5'8" and 160. "Blue eyes and lonely. I've always wanted to be with 2 women at once, so we can work something out, LOL. Yes, let's lol that, okay? "You must respond with picture and tell me what you want to do or looking for if you're looking for something long-term with a good man, 50. Don't look or act it, LOL. Yes, we're just lolling all over. "No picture, no reply. I like younger women. You don't fucking say. Age is just a number if you send a phone number. With your picture, I'll call you, not text, call. I'm sorry, I will call you, not text. Call if I can't talk to you. I'm not interested, plain and simple. Too old for games." So our beautiful Megan fixed this for him rewrote it one night, which I'm assuming this was after we recorded last Sunday, right after the Banshee episode where we were in rare form.
Yeah, and I don't sleep. I go to bed at like 2 a.m.
I know, because I read
these are my musings.
I read this the next morning and was like, holy shit, she was still awake after Witch's Brew.
She was.
So here it says, this is beautiful, but probably my favorite thing I will ever read. She rewrote it for him. "Hello, ladies. Period, because that's how it should be. Single man here, can't imagine why. Looking for any single woman, specifically one with no friends or family to report her missing, to ride out the hurricane, tied up in the basement. I live alone, in my mom's basement, but hate to sleep alone. The corpses I keep go bad fast. It's more fun to cuddle and hold someone until the body starts to decompose. I don't smoke, drink, or do drugs, except weed and the prescriptions I write myself from the pad I stole from the clinic. I have a clean home with room to spare. I use a lot of bleach and always buy extra large tarps. I'm white, 5'8", which means 5'5", because men always add 3 inches, and 160 pounds, which means 190 because men subtract 30 pounds. I have blue eyes, a collection that I keep in my freezer, and lonely. I've always wanted to be with 2 women at once, since I clearly would have better odds of pleasing at least one, ? So we can work something out, LOL. Insert inappropriate laughter. You must respond with a picture, a nude, obviously, and tell me what you want to do. Please no runners." That was my favorite. Please no runners. So please, and tell me what you want to do. Please no runners, or looking for a way out of the basement. If you're looking for someone long-term with a good man, maybe check out Tinder or the arrest pages. 50, don't look or act like it. Read immature and needs trained, LOL. No picture, no reply. Again with the nudes. I like younger women. Age is just a number. Says every man busted on the To Catch a Predator on Dateline. If you send a phone number with your picture, I'll call you from outside your house. Not text, call. Because evidence. If I can't talk to you, I'm not interested. Plain and simple. Too old for games. parentheses, other than a game of felony hide and seek. Period.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I didn't even know I was the brain bath today. That was my brain bath for myself.
I wanted to surprise you with your own words for the brain bath.
I like to correct creepy men.
As you should.
And remind them that this is how the rest of the world read that.
Yes, it 100% is. How did they not realize that? Do you tell them in your courtroom sometimes, like, when you say that she wasn't struggling, that cuddle with a struggle is still at least a misdemeanor?
No, I don't usually have to say that. I think it's in my tone.
Oh, probably.
And maybe the way I look at people.
Oh, definitely. Your eyes are harrowing.
Thank you. Thank you. I take that as a compliment.
It was meant to be one.
But that right there is just...
That is a predator.
That's a police report pre-written.
It sure is. Online. That is evidence, essentially. And we're going to probably feature this man on a podcast if a woman dare ever respond to that ad.
I feel like it's a distinct possibility, and we should check and see if everyone's okay in the Jacksonville area.
Did anyone actually respond to that ad? I want to know.
I mean, I think that when you're going through a natural disaster like that, all kinds of opportunities present themselves where you would want to be safe. And I'm just going to let you know, I think riding the hurricane out is probably a better idea than this young man right here.
It's funny that you say that because a couple of days later, one of our Patreons did say that. She's like, no, I'm taking my chances with Hurricane Ian. Thanks.
Yeah, he seems like a less murdery guy, that Ian.
Yeah. Sadly,
right?
Because that was tragic.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you all for listening today and hanging out with us. If you would like to binge extra content and get exclusive content moving forward, feel free to join our Patreon. Patreon.com/crimecurious. It's also a link in our show notes as well. You can send case suggestions through our website. We have a website. I never promote it, and I really need to.
And you just updated it, too.
I did. I just finally put your beautiful face on there with a little blurb. So that's just crimecuriouspodcast.com.
The blurb isn't my face. There's a blurb under it.
Yes. Yeah. I meant a blurb. I did make that sound terrible.
No, I made it sound terrible.
I put the blurb of Megan on there. No, it is. It's
sorry, no nudes.
Nope.
We're not advertising for roommates here.
Unfortunately, that gentleman will not call us back because we won't be texting him calling him and giving him any nudes.
You want to bet? I bet he would.
Oh my God, that's how we could lure him.
I don't feel like I should be luring people.
Oh, shoot. Well, anyway, feel free to follow us on social media. That helps us get seen too by other people who enjoy true crime podcasts. And then you can see the funny shit we post too. And we also do post pictures of the victims and things like that too. So not that you all aren't Googling them the minute that I say what the case is about. I know I do it too when I'm listening.
It's on the presentation cases,
but yep. All right. Well, until next time, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.